Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at the top teams for the Open Great League. Open Great League is going to be back for 2 weeks, but don't worry, I'm going to make another top team video for the Open Great League in a week's time. I want to see what teams the community is going to use in order to legend. Of course, on this channel here, you're going to see some gameplay and some teams towards it already early on as well. So I think it would make sense for you to subscribe and leave a like here on that video as well. As you're going to move on to the team number 1, we're going to have a mixture today out of teams that I built, teams from the community, everything kinda. So yeah, we're going to have here a lot of good teams that most of them I used myself before as well and had a lot of success with. There's some videos already on the channel towards as well, but let's move on here to team number 1. This is a team that is just making a lot of sense. There are a lot of different options that you can go for as well. We're going to have here the classic Mud Slapper double flying. This is still going to work right now. I do think that either Corviknight or the Sacer of Firo makes the most amount of sense for this team. Why? You have a ground type in the lead. You have ground type coverage on your Sacer. What you're gonna bait out with a Sacer of a flying type Pokemon is most likely something like a steel type or a rock type Pokemon. So this is where the Corviknight as well as the Firo are coming in play. Those two Pokemon are going to have access to coverage moves for those Pokemon that you don't want to face usually as a flying type Pokemon. And so what this team is designed to do is beat the entire flying type Pokemon. If you don't face in the lead, swap out. Go into Corviknight, which is the most neutral Pokemon that you can have in the current meta. Go into Firo, which is going to be a little bit more attack rated, a little bit more offensive there as well. It can flip some switches, especially in the 2 shields. But going to also be able to have coverage for the Pokemon you don't want to face. And then in the back, you're going to have a flying type Pokemon. Either Murkrow, or the Charizard, or the Galarian Moltres, or the Togekiss. There are a lot of different options that you can go for. And those are going to be there to sweep endgame. This is their main idea. You have somewhat of a bulky Pokemon in the lead. You have somewhat of a bulky Pokemon as a Sacer if you want Corviknight. And then you kind of want to have a closer in the back. And this team is going to be fantastic. It's a team that has been proven to be good very often already this season. And also the last few seasons. So yeah, definitely give it a try. And we can move on to the next one, where we will have my first ever legend team. And I was shocked on how good this team was. This team was absolutely fantastic. If you saw my video towards it, this team was so surprisingly good that I actually want to include it here. I feel like it deserves to be included here. Swampert, especially as a non-shadow. You need to run Swampert as a non-shadow. Shadow Swampert does not work for this team. And this is kind of weird because for most people it's like Shadow is better than normal, right? No, here it is not the case. Why? It is the reason is going to be the Marowak. Shadow Marowak is going to be able to farm you down if you're a Shadow Swampert. If you're a non-Shadow Swampert, you guarantee you win that matchup. And this is going to allow you to align yourself later on, and alignment is key for this team. You're going to have Elite here that's going to be great against Steel-type Pokemon with Swampert. You're going to have Sludge as coverage for the... Oh, actually, I would recommend you go for Earthquake over Sludge. That's my bet on here. Go for Earthquake over Sludge. I think it's a little bit better. But you have generally good coverage against the current meta on this Pokemon. You have Jirachi, which is going to have coverage against Steel-type Pokemon. Jirachi is your Sacer up here, which of course Swampert would be able to beat. So if you're going to have a horrible lead against your Swampert, like a Grass-type Pokemon, you can swap into Jirachi. And you're still going to be able to cover up a potential swap-in from a Steel-type Pokemon against you, thanks to Aura Sphere. Otherwise, we're going to have Altaria here in the back, which doesn't want to face this Pokemon, but has a really good core with Jirachi as well as Swampert. So, like, it's really a nice team, which is funny because it wasn't a nice team actually when I hit Legend with it in the first, like, it's back in the day, it's called rank 10. Now the system is completely a different one, but it was the highest rank basically possible there. And yeah, it was not as great back in the day, but now it is fantastic, and it is honestly such a strong team here. I made a video about it, check it out. Next team I also made a video about. This is a legend team that I used a few seasons back, like honestly like around 10 seasons back at this point. I mean, I guess not really with the Annihilate. I had Medicham instead back in the day, then I upgraded with Annihilate, then Counter got nerfed, and now we're here where Rage Twist got introduced. And Rage Twist, of course, is a very nice move on Annihilate and makes this entire team quite strong. You want to have Shadow Annihilate. This will allow you to have a little bit more coverage and a little bit more damage output with that Ice Punch. The alternatives here as well, like the Primeape, but Annihilate is a little bit better in my opinion. And Bastion here is there to beat those flying type Pokemon. Because the final Pokemon that you have here really cannot deal with it. Trevenant or the Decidueye, neither of them can really deal with those flying type Pokemon. And so the idea is here, Bastion in the lead. Very good against everything in neutral matchup. Very, very good against flying type Pokemon. You face something like a ground type, No problem. Sub out into your fighting type Pokemon, Annihilate. Having access to Ice Punch gives you coverage. Having access to Rage gives you potential to sweep into in the two-shield scenario, allowing you to realign yourself. But if the opponent subs out, it's alright. You're going to have, if you can align yourself, still a Trevenant in the back in order to deal with a lead matchup that is bad for the Bastion, which is only ground, water, and fighting, which Trevenant can all deal with. Or the Destroy can also all deal with it. So this is kind of the way of how this team kind of works. The other alternatives as well, you can run something like a Victory Bell, which is generally speaking not the best Pokemon. But then again, I would love to take a look at the Victory Bell again in the Great League. You might see a video towards it. But again, this is going to be a very solid team. Let's move on to team number 4. I will take a little bit more time here today and talking about the teams because maybe you enjoy this a little bit more, having a little bit more talk towards. I usually try to rush things so you have your information fast, but why not talk a little bit more? Here, we're going to have Everluck. Everluck in the lead is going to be great. This is going to be a legend team from Blissfully. Sorry, I'm missing an S here. Sorry, that is my bad. There's a video on my channel already towards this team. This team is fantastic. This team is very, very funny because we have Everluck here, a Pokemon that nobody expected. But as you're going to see on the left side, Everluck is so neutral against most of the current Pokemon, you don't really need to be worried about anything with this thing, to the point where it was so strong. By the way, another mistake that I did here, Everluck actually was running Icy Wind for Blissfully. I used Avalanche on my video, which worked out also perfectly fine. Icy Wind gives you some other potential options as well, both of which are fine. Both of which are totally fine. Gaston here has a Say Stop and Course in the back. You don't really want to Say Stop if you don't need to, but otherwise it's actually quite an alright team here for sure. And I saw so many people actually having great success with it, to the point where some other people hit Legend with this team as well. So give it a try, it's proven to be very strong. We can move on to team number 5. Where are we going to have here the Florges? Florges is going to be a very, very overpowered Pokemon. This is a team that was still from Jacko Loco, which I think he got to rank 1 in the world with. There is a video on my channel towards this team as well. It is very, very strong. We have Florges lead, we have the Charjabug Say-Stop, and the Corviknight in the back. If you know, and if you saw the video, there's one kind of funny thing towards this team. It is going to be 3 Community Day Pokemon. Florges, Charjabug, and Corviknight all had Community Days, or even kind of a bit recently. I guess Charjabug is like the furthest away from it. But this team got to rank 1 in the world, and I'm not too surprised about it. We have a video towards it. I explain more in that video as well, so definitely give it a try, check it out. And we can move on to team number 6. Where I just wanted to build a team around Lickitung. And yes, it's going to be very similar to, I think, team number 3 it was or something. It just flipped around. But I wanted to have a team around Lickitung, and I want to have a team that kind of reminded me a little bit of the good old days of the GO Battle League, where Medicham was like the top Pokemon to pair with Lickitung. Medicham's place kind of got taken by Annihilate. Annihilate is very similar to Medicham in the case that you resist fighting type damage against you and you are fighting type that does counter damage. So like it's quite similar there. Psychic Ghost have similar weaknesses, like for example Dark or Ghost. So it's very, very similar on how they kind of interact and kind of react generally. But this is going to be an interesting team here. You're going to have the option here to use your shields in the lead, try to align yourself, try to do a lot of damage. And then you have Lickitung as a Say Stop. I'm not too sure on how good this Pokemon actually going to be. You have Cordelia as an alternative option if you want to do that as well. But Lickitung is number 20 currently on the rankings, and I want to see if this old Pokemon still has it in it. We will find out very shortly on the channel here, but I have to wait, of course, until the Great League comes back. I want to try to showcase the new Shadow Pokemon as well, but this is going to be an interesting one. We're going to see if we can do that. Next up, we're going to have a very toxic team here. And I kind of want to introduce this team here as well to this top team video. Again, this is a top team video. This is not, oh, here are the most beautiful teams ever. This team is not great. This team is very toxic. It is very strong though. And as you can see here on the right side, there is not really a difficult matchup. The worst matchup here, I guess, is going to be that Annihilate, but I wouldn't even say it's a difficult matchup because you still do neutral damage with your Toadschool and your Torterra, and with Carbink, if Carbink has energy, then Moonblast is going to destroy that, Annihilate there. So, like, there is not really something I would worry about. And so, yes, this is going to be a very toxic team. You have Toadschool, which is going to be a Say-Stop. You have Torterra, where you can only keep your shields. Torterra in the 2-shit scenario. Go on PvPoke, put Torterra in, go 2-shit scenario, and watch on how strong this Pokemon is. I was one that was suggesting Mudslap Torterra for ages. It's finally here, and it's honestly such a threat to deal with. And we're going to be able to now move on to team number 8. Where are we going to see a team from Galaxy Bolton? This is going to be a number 1 team in the world. I did not actually showcase this team. I want to showcase this team, but I decided against it because I was like, is this a meme or not? I think I decided against it. Maybe I did, I don't know. But this team here, I actually was coaching someone with this team as well, and it actually worked out surprisingly well. And so I have a lot of insight to this team, even though you haven't seen a video towards it, because I actually played myself and I coached someone. I think I haven't showed it on this channel. But that is kind of a funny thing, because this team here itself works out quite well. And you might think there's going to be that big weakness to any kind of fairy type Pokemon, and you're right with that. The worst Pokemon to face with this team is the Denny. But what you don't know about this team is and how good this team generally is in order to deal with its weaknesses. And there are weaknesses, they are the fairy type Pokemon. But there is something funny towards this team. So, let's say you encounter an Azumarill in the lead. What can you do? You can go and stay in and go for a close combat. Of course you can do that. But what you can do as well is you can go into the Goodra. Which Azumarill is going to swap out of a Goodra? None of them. You can take an Ice Beam, you can even take a player off on your Goodra, and Thunder Punch is hitting them for super effective damage. You outspeed them, your fast move, Blaring Wrath, is still going to do 1 damage per turn, because it's a 1-turn fast move, and like, even though it's double resisted, it is still going to chunk. And with that, Goodra is actually going to be an alright answer against Azumarill. And as soon as shields are down, as soon as you're going to be able to force the opponent to kind of use some shields, which is where Pangoro comes into play, and there's another team afterwards directly as well that is going to be very similar towards this, you're going to be able to sweep endgame with Shadow Talonflame. Shadow Talonflame is needed. It needs to be Shadow. It is the only way of really how this team can function. But while this team looks a little bit weird, it will take you some time to get used to this team. I have to say, this is going to take you a little bit of time, but it's going to be a very solid team to run. We had great success with this while coaching, and it's a cool team to run. Definitely cool here. And again, shout out to Galax Cobalt in there as well. Next team. This is the #1 team on PE Poke, and this was surprisingly one of the strongest teams I've played so far. And the strategy behind it was interesting. Because we're going to have the hardest hitting lead, we're going to have the Corviknight, which is the best kind of say-so in this meta, and you have the Stunfisk in the back. And while this doesn't really make too much sense like on paper, like there's a weakness here to Florges, it's alright to work with generally. You can't actually see on how fantastic this team works. Why? Because Primeape. Literally because Primeape. What you have as an option here is to, if you face a lead there that you maybe don't like, but you're alright against it just generally, like fast move wise or whatever, you can get energy on Primeape, stop into Corviknight, take the energy on this bulky Pokemon that has basically next to no weaknesses, be fine with it. If you have an alright lead, go close combat. You either get a KO or a shield. You stop into Corviknight, soak up the damage, and all of a sudden you have a big advantage. And this kind of how it kind of went. There was nowhere where I didn't get an advantage somewhere in the game thanks to Primeape Corviknight core. That core is busted. This core is broken. I enjoy this core so much that yeah, I think it's one of the best cores currently in the game. This is a fantastic team. There's a long video towards this team. I think a 20-minute long video towards this one. Check it out. It's fantastic, this team. And the final team here is going to be more of a classic one. I kind of want to introduce a key team as well that has Shadow Scissor. I think this Pokemon is still very good in the current meta, and so I kind of want to highlight it. And it's going to be a very nice team here, because most of the Fire-type Pokemon are currently also part of Flying, which makes Stunfisk a very good answer to that. Then you have Azumarill as your Sace up here, which is going to have still Ice Beam coverage, which is going to be great against potential Grass-type Pokemon that you kind of don't want to face, with something like a Stunfisk in the back as well. So basically, Scissor, best answer to Fairy-type Pokemon as well, especially those Grass-type Pokemon. Azumarill, Sace up here is going to be able to deal kind of with a Fire-type Pokemon with a fast move, and has great coverage against the meta, and as also has with the move Ice Beam just coverage against those Grass-type Pokemon. And in the back you have Stunfisk, which is going to be able to help you out with the Bastion matchup, the Empoleon matchup, and at the end of the day, you're going to have a very good team here. The issue is you're guessing maybe a little bit, but it's actually alright. Your Scissor can play it out, and then you have Azumarill to align itself against it. And that's going to be it for this video. This is going to be a longer video a little bit to talk a little bit more about the teams. Do you enjoy this format a little bit more? Let me know down below. I think it was kind of great. I think it's 10 top teams that you should really run. And again, I'm going to be back in a week again for you as well with more top teams. But of course, in between, there are a lot of more videos coming out towards the GO Battle League. So definitely stay tuned. I will see you then. Bye bye.